He is running for Parliament as an independent in the new Mission-Matsqui-Fraser Valley riding. And though he has likely little chance of winning, he is incredibly enthusiastic. Wyatt Scott joins us now from Mission via Skype. Thanks for joining us, Wyatt.
Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
I cannot wait to talk to you, but let's take a look at your video first, the whole thing, because it's gold. So let's let viewers take a look.
Hey, I'm Wyatt Scott, and I'm running for Parliament for the new riding of Mission-Matsqui-Fraser Canyon.
I'm an independent candidate, and I'm here to fight for Canada!
University is too damn expensive.
Hey, thanks, mister.
Services like healthcare and social programs should be expanded, not cut. The Indigenous people aren't even protected by their own government.
Change is coming to Canada, and I'm here to lead that charge. Are you ready for the shift? I am. My name's Wyatt Scott, and I'm running for Parliament!
That's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. Oh, get you.
Once again, Wyatt Scott joins us now via Skype from Mission. First of all, why did you decide to run for Parliament?
Well, to be honest, we ran my good friend Rhett Nicholson for the Liberal nomination in our riding, and he did not win that. So I have to call shenanigans on that nomination process. That is ultimately why I decided to run independently.
Do your views are consistently closest to the Liberal Party of Canada then?
You know, I think I have ideologies within, the big blue, big red, and big orange. I have socialist ideologies, conservative ideologies. I'm very liberal at the same time. I think it's unfortunate how we are forced to compromise maybe some of our values to block us in with one of these. If I had to put myself somewhere on the spectrum, I would say I'm center-left, probably.
Okay, so because we saw your eyes shooting lasers at a conservative robot at the very end. So
Well,
I'm guessing.
I think there's a general consensus that a lot of people aren't happy with the way that Harper has taken the country over the past few years.
Okay, well, let's talk a bit about your video then, too, because we can learn a lot about you and your policies and how you think with your video. What made you decide to make a video like that? And let's start with riding in on a Canada Goose.
Well, I think that the Canada Goose is pretty much iconic Canadian. Everybody can relate. A Canada Goose, that's Canadian. Some of the message in the video, I think universal post-secondary is something that's beyond me. In a country of only 35 million people with the abundance of resources, why do we charge $50,000 to $250,000 for an undergraduate degree that is pretty much the equivalent of a high school diploma 20 years ago?
And what about more rights for Aboriginal people, First Nations?
Yeah, definitely the Indigenous community in this country, and this is something that has been ongoing for decades and decades, and we need to work towards some sort of a reconciliation. We need to work towards something that's going to better the Indigenous people within this country. We have 25 bands within our new riding, Mission-Matsqui-Fraser Canyon, and I am out on the bands quite often, and it's absolutely insane to me that the suffering that goes on in some of these places. We're a modern country. We have all of the benefits, yet there's still these communities, outlying communities, that don't have the basic essentials. How do we allow that to go on in this day and age? I don't understand it.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about a couple other things, actually, because I think you deserve a shot at being a real viable candidate here. So what is your take on are the two pipelines, Kinder Morgan and Enbridge?
Well, we could argue or debate this for hours and hours. I mean, obviously, pipelines are safer than rail. We need to export the resources to the coast. That's primarily what the pipeline is about. But why are we not refining these resources within our country? We're taking raw timber, we're shipping it to China. They're manufacturing and they're sending it back. We're doing this with all of our resources. Why don't we start building an infrastructure in this country to utilize the resources here, to manufacture the resources here? We're going to put people to work. We're going to create jobs. We're going to create livelihoods. That seems like simple economics to me.
Okay, what about decriminalizing or legalizing marijuana in this country?
Again, we could go on for hours of debate here. You know, my conservative friends, they say, well, we're going to see all sorts of healthcare costs come into play if we legalize this. There's all these health attributes that come with it. But one of the points that I like to bring out is organized crime benefits immensely off of marijuana. Why don't we take the money out of organized crime, legalize the marijuana, put it behind the counters, 18 and older, like alcohol, and let's put that revenue source into something important, like healthcare or into education. Again, we're doing something here that doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. And I do believe the winds of change are coming.
Why did you decide to make that video so humorous? You're high-fiving an alien. You stabbed a dragon.
Let's be realistic. An independent doesn't have a shot at getting into the House of Commons. It's been done once in modern-day politics in our country. And it was done by a gentleman in Quebec. He was a radio personality, and so he had a great base, a great following. I'm a realist, but I'm also an optimist. I would love to go to Parliament and represent my community, because that's ultimately why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for my community. I love my neighbors, and I love my community, and I think that they deserve better than what's being offered to them right now.
All right, give us your pitch, tell us your name, and tell us what you're running for.
My name is Wyatt Scott. I am running for one of 6 new federal ridings in British Columbia, one of 30 new federal ridings in Canada. It's called Mission-Matsqui-Fraser Canyon. It's one of the biggest ridings in terms of landmass in this country. I think that we are seeing a shift. We're seeing a societal shift, and we're on the realm of something huge. We have never seen this many new ridings before come into play, and we will not see it again in our lifetime. We are on the verge of making history in Canada, and I want to be a part of a positive and a productive push forward.
Wyatt Scott, thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
That was Wyatt Scott. He is running as an independent in the new riding of Mission-Matsqui-Fraser Valley. Now we're joined by Keith Baldry. He's in Victoria at the legislature. Keith, I know independents can't win, and he admits that himself, but I don't know, he was pretty impressive. What did you think?
Well, he's made a splash for himself with this video. I mean, I don't come on television too often with you and talk about independent candidates because, as even he admits, a long shot at best to win that riding. If you take the results from 2011 election and put them within this new riding, doing what's called transposing the votes, that means the Conservatives would have won that riding with 45%, the NDP with 32%, and then a big drop-off to the Liberals with 8%, and the Green Party with almost 5%. 35,000 voters. Those 4 parties consumed all of those voters in 2011. So for this fellow to have a shot, it just shows you just how big a challenge it is. He's got to get, probably 15,000 votes in order to pull off a victory. But as he says, people run for election for different reasons, Randene. Not everybody runs with a reasonable expectation of getting elected. They do it for other reasons. They want to highlight particular issues. They want to boost their own profile. In any case, Wyatt Scott's probably got the largest profile of any number of candidates right now. I've been told by our producer, Aidan Buckley, he just whispered in my ear that on YouTube, his video has already doubled in terms of views. He's up to 2,600 now. And if he gets 2,600 votes on October 19th, I think he'd be laughing.
And these are candidates who are running for the Conservatives and the Liberal and the NDP. They're unknown candidates at this point. There's no well-known names there.
No, and it's probably going to be that way. Keep in mind, I think elections, particularly at the federal level, are so much focused on the leaders. I mean, people are voting for Stephen Harper or for Tom Mulcair or for Justin Trudeau and or for Elizabeth May, for that matter. And I think they identify more with the leaders than they do with their particular candidates. In fact, I don't think most people, including journalists, can name all of BC's sitting members of Parliament. They don't have a lot of profile, certainly not as much as their provincial counterparts. Ottawa's very far away. way. Provincial politics very much dominates in BC more than federally. So even when you're elected, it doesn't necessarily make you a household name at the federal level. So I don't think that's necessarily an advantage or a disadvantage at this point for any of the other parties. A lot of candidates haven't even been nominated yet because this is such a long election campaign. But right now, on paper at least, that riding should be considered a strong, potentially strong conservative riding based on the results of the last couple of elections. It is a conservative area of the province. You know, the eastern Fraser Valley, historically, fairly conservative. But, you know, who knows with an NDP surge and different types of vote splits, which way it's going to go. But I feel pretty comfortable in saying Wyatt Scott makes a pretty good video, a very funny one, but I don't like his chances of turning that into electoral success on October 19th.
All right, but we'll play his video a couple more times.
Oh, yeah.
It's quite funny. All
Lots
right.
of fun.
Keith, thank you so much for that. Keith Baldry in Victoria this afternoon. And when we come back, we will go to Ottawa and talk to Michael Lecouture about the rest of the federal election campaign trail today, what the four major party leaders were doing and what they announced. Stay with us for that.